on YouTube. Are we live on YouTube? Okay, so people who are, I heard my own voice from somewhere. I don't know from where the voice is coming. Is it okay from the YouTube itself? Okay, the current course you are watching, Hemant, is free, which we are doing 2 days Java live. But the next one, which is Spring, is actually a paid course. For that, you have to check the description. I think description will be added in some time by the team. And people who have not joined from Zoom, I'm sharing the Zoom link in the Zoom chat. Okay, so till this point, I think Heather was talking about polymorphism. And see, OOPS is actually very important for developing softwares in Java, which is, I mean, think in this way. As I mentioned before, everything in the real world is object, and everything in the virtual world is also object, right? And if you want to process, or if you want to work with the objects, you need to follow certain principles or certain concepts. And OOPS is that concept where we have encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, and there are many more concepts which will be covered in the upcoming sessions. So today, we have the session till 4 p.m. and the plan is to finish at least till interface. And from tomorrow, we'll focus on the advanced part. Okay, so we're going to start the session in next 1 minute. Just give me a second to do that. All set. I'm just checking if the screen sharing is still on. Okay. Sharing desktop 1. Share. Okay, that's YouTube. Close it. And here we go. So we are all set. And we're going to start now. I will get Heather on board again to continue the topic.
All right, guys, welcome back again. We shall continue the journey from where we had stopped. So early morning, we just understood what is a class, how to create an object, fundamentally about methods, method overloading, encapsulation, constructor, and inheritance. These concepts very quickly as a refreshment we try to understand. And those who could able to focus, I hope you could able to understand also. Now we are going to understand very interesting and one of the most important topics which you must be knowing it, especially if you have a plan of learning advanced concepts or application development with Java, which is polymorphism. Polymorphism. You can say runtime polymorphism, true polymorphism, real polymorphism, and this is one of the important topic. and the base of this is inheritance. So those who are watching polymorphism topic right now, I would expect you to know the fundamentals of inheritance, what we had discussed. Fine. And real use case of polymorphism, if you could able to complete interfaces and abstract before 4 o'clock today, before within next few minutes or hour, I'll be doing one concept of has a relationship association in Java, which gives you an idea that how the development happens in the real time, how we develop the applications as a Java or Spring Boot developer. Especially in Spring Boot developer, we follow one of the design pattern under we have something called a strategy design pattern. There are so many design patterns. According to the strategy design pattern, we should, okay, okay, captions are enabled, okay, fine, let's enable. Yeah. One of the design pattern, which is strategy design pattern, says that we should always code to interface. We should develop the application by keeping loose coupling in picture. Directly never write a class. First write the specification through the concept of interface and then write the actual code. And how do we achieve loose coupling? Where in the process of has a relationship, loose coupling, and the association, you will understand the real use of polymorphism, how we use it, and also you will understand the purpose of Spring framework. So if time permits, today only with Java code I will show you what is the real use of Spring framework. So till the end of today's session, if you are there with me and if there is a time, I will teach you Spring framework without touching the Spring framework, what problem it is trying to solve. If there is any time constraint, then tomorrow morning, the first part, we will discuss that. We'll try to understand why we use Spring, what is the core of Spring framework without having to use it. Okay. Is there any session planned on the Spring Boot like this session? We might plan going forward. Next weekend onwards, we have a paid batch, a full day batch. So we will not be available to teach live on the YouTube. Because it's a paid batch for a full day, which is starting from the next weekend for the 8 total days, 4 total weekends. Okay. So now let's understand this, guys. Polymorphism, the concept of polymorphism. I would like to just go here and consider the application directly. So I don't want to create any problem. So directly I'll go here, create a new Java project. The project name, I'll give it as polymorphism. I'll say here, polymorphism. Any example you want, you can take it. I would like to create it. I'll say I want it in the new Windows. Okay, great. This is the code, basic code structure. All right, let's get started, guys, without any delay here. I'll go here and I would like to create one class here. Name of the class, I would like to just give it as, maybe you can write within same only. I would like to do one thing within same code file to avoid the confusion for the newbie. Especially, it's a good practice to keep the Java code in different files. It is not recommended to write multiple classes in single files, but I would do that here. Okay. Because we are here to learn. There is again separate discussion on how to structure the project, how to write the actual code, but for now we are in the learning stage. I'll say class, whatever class name you want, you can take. I'll take it as aeroplane. All right, your class here, class aeroplane. Wonderful. I'll write 2 more classes. Class maybe cargo plane, and I'll say your class maybe passenger or fighter plane, fighter jet, fighter flight, plane, aeroplane, whatever name you want, you can give it. Great. Now there are 3 classes. If I ask you one simple question right now, based on the code you see, are these classes linked with each other? Is there any relationship? The answer should be no. They are unrelated classes for now. There is no link between them. I can achieve 2 types of relationship. What are these? We will understand. I'll go back and write one simple method here. Public, maybe void. I will write the method here as takeoff. Whatever method, whatever concepts. Okay. I will say system.out.println. I would like to just go here and I will just say maybe aeroplane is taking off. whatever message. Right now I'm printing some messages here. In the real time there could be some code, okay, just to show you on the console how it is behaving. I'm just writing something on the system.out.println. There could be some other code also here. Aeroplane is, maybe I'll say here, taking off. I would like to write maybe one more method here, or I'll say public void, maybe I'll say here fly method, and I would like to just go here and say system.out.println. I would like to just to say here, all right, aeroplane is flying. Great. Now we have two behaviors here, two methods, and we do have two more classes. Right now there is no link between them. Yes, great. I can establish the relationship. The first relationship is inheritance, or you can say is a relationship. Cargo plane is a aeroplane. Fighter plane is a aeroplane. That's the reason why we say it as is a relationship. I'll say here extends aeroplane. The moment I say extends aeroplane, all of you know very well, those who are part of the session 1, that whatever methods are there, non-private methods, all of them gets inherited here. From your naked eyes you may not be able to see, but inside this cargo plane we do have takeoff method also, we do have fly method also. Both the methods are present within this class. And again I would like to go here, I say extends aeroplane. I'll say extends aeroplane. And again, the moment you say extends aeroplane, whatever methods we have here got inherited here. Now, if I have to ask you one question, that which is the parent here? Aeroplane is the parent, and which are the child classes? Cargo plane and fighter plane are the child classes. No issues. And if you are not overriding them inside these classes, that means whatever behavior, whatever body parent has given, you want to keep that body as it is here without any change. And if you are keeping the parent class behavior in the child class as it is without any change, as we have discussed earlier, that is referred as inherited methods. Okay, yes, you can use Arbaz, there is no problem. Okay, will this 8-day, there is question from Shrana Banerjee in the Zoom, that will this 8-day live batch will be deep as Spring 3 months course? Yes. Microservices will be given recorded, but rest of the concept deep, because we have 8 session from morning 10 to 5 p.m. continuously non-stop with minimal breaks, of course, small breaks. So it is in them. We will cover all the concepts. You can go through the course dashboard and you can find out all the topics which has been mentioned will be covered. Okay, great. Now guys, those are referred as inherited methods. Now I'll create the reference of aeroplane. I'll say aeroplane type maybe plane equals to new cargo plane. I have created the reference of cargo plane. And as you all know that for a child type of object, can we create a reference of parent class? The answer is yes. Also, at the conclusion of the first session, I have told that using this reference, if there are any inherited methods and overridden methods, directly you can access them. I will say here plane dot takeoff method, and again I'll say plane dot, I'll say here fly method. There is no problem here. Great. Now I have one more question here. After inheriting in the child class, if you're not happy with the body which is given in the parent class, do you have a privilege to modify? Do you have a privilege to override them? The answer is yes, you can do that, and Java allows that. That means the moment you have told extend here, these two methods got inherited here. Great. But right now I'm not happy with the body which parent has given. Okay, I can change it. One more question I have here quickly. Do you have any course on Kafka? We don't have a separate course, but in the Spring Boot sessions, I do teach how to integrate a Spring Boot application with the Kafka server. Okay, but there is no separate session on Kafka. Okay, I have a privilege. I will say here public. I'll just modify. If you're writing this once again, that means you are modifying. I'll give my own body because the parent body I was not happy. I'll say here cargo plane takes longer runway to take off, just to have a differentiating factor to take off. Great. And maybe I'm not happy with the fly body which parent has given. Who is stopping you? Please override. I'll say here cargo plane. Cargo plane flies at lower height. Okay. Just one message. So after inheriting, I'm overriding them. Great. Now using the parent reference, I'm invoking this method. Of course, whatever overridden body you have given, that will be executed. I would like to just go here and again give here. I'll say here maybe fighter plane. Fighter plane takes shorter, I'll say here shorter runway to take off, and fighter plane, I'll say here fighter plane flies at higher height. Okay, I'll say here higher height. Simply I'm just trying to override them. So you can see here there were two methods in the parent class. The moment you say extends, both of them got inherited here also, inside the flight class also. Great. But I was not happy with whatever body parent had given for these methods. This body I was not happy. To suit the requirement of my class, to suit the requirement of child class, I have modified that. I have overridden that. And Java allows you. And I have done that in both the classes. No problem. Now I'm invoking. I would like to just give here as 1 and say 1, 1. Again, I'll say here aeroplane type maybe 2 equals to new fighter plane. What is the real use of creating parent type reference for child type object? We will see to that. I will say here plane 2. Okay, I'll say here plane 2 dot takeoff and plane 2 dot landing. All right, or fly. I would like to just go and run this application. Let me run this. If I have to run on your console, you can see we are getting cargo plane takes longer runway, cargo plane flies at the lower height. That means whatever message you are getting on your screen, it is giving you the behavior of a parent, or it is giving you the behavior of overridden method in the child class. It is giving you the behavior of overridden method in the child class. Are you getting it? Everyone present in the class? At the end, we shall discuss Shranaya Banerjee, because in between, example, if I'm talking on how to travel from Bangalore to Delhi, if someone asks in between a beautiful journey, I'm explaining that this is how I have traveled from Bangalore to Delhi, and someone is asking tell me about Pondicherry. So if I suddenly in between say about Pondicherry, then the flow will change. Maybe at the end we shall discuss that. Okay. Now it is giving you the behavior of the child class, right? Right now, since you have asked, it is the starting point of the application. That much you understand. That's where the application will start. Great. Guys, polymorphism concept will allow you to make your code more optimized, more flexible. I will be invoking this method only once, takeoff and fly. It will execute for cargo plane also. It will execute for the fighter plane also. What do you mean by that? I have created the instance of cargo plane. Great. And I'm invoking the methods for the cargo plane. It is giving me the output of whatever you have written inside the cargo plane. Correct. And here I am giving you, I'm creating the object of fighter plane. I'm invoking the methods, overridden methods of the fighter plane. It is giving me the output of this. Correct. Now with the help of polymorphism, I will write this method only once. These two methods I will write only once. I will, in the entire code file, I will write takeoff one time, fly one time. Both of that will, that one time code will execute for both the objects. That means I will write takeoff only once. It will display the body which is there in the cargo plane also. It will display the body which is there in the fighter plane also. And with the help of polymorphism, you can achieve that. Making sense, everyone? Right now, I will just achieve that maybe, directly. Let's achieve that only directly. I'll go here and maybe I'll just create one class here. I'll say the class airport. Real use of polymorphism in the association topic has a relationship I'll talk. where you will understand what is the purpose of Spring Framework without you having to use the Spring Framework. I would like to just go here and make it. Okay. Yes, dynamic binding also you can say, Arbas. I will say here, whatever name of the method you want, you can give. I'll say here void permit. Okay. One more class just to show you that. I will just go here and I'll say here aeroplane type of reference. Maybe I'll say reference variable as plane. Aeroplane type of reference. Great. Now, before the break, I had told you, now also I had just repeated that whenever you create the object of a class, the reference variable name, whatever you want, you can give. The type of reference variable can be of either same as the object type, or it can be of parent type. I hope you could able to recall that. So whenever you create the type of a reference variable, it must be same as whatever object you have created. Option number 1. Option number 2, you can create it of the parent of that particular class. The parent of cargo plane is aeroplane. Fine, keep that in mind. All right, I'll go back here and I'll say plane dot takeoff. Again, I will say here plane dot maybe fly. Great. I'm invoking this. I would like to save this. Done. Again, I'll repeat since Shana is asking me. Shana, I had told that 3-4 times, but since you're asking for the last time, I'll repeat. Whenever you create the object, right, this is a reference variable for this object, correct? The type of the reference variable, you cannot say here string. You cannot say anything else. No. Inside this, you're holding the address of cargo plane object. So the reference variable must be cargo plane only. Whatever is the object, the type of the reference variable must be same. But in one case, this reference variable can be changed. What is that one case? If that reference variable is of parent of this class, whatever object you are creating, right? Parent of that class. Tell me who's the parent of cargo plane? Who's the parent of cargo plane? Shrayana, I'm asking you. It's aeroplane. So you can create a type of reference as aeroplane also. This allows. Okay, we have understood that before the break. You should not have any issue on this. Okay, I'll say aeroplane. All right. Great, dear friends, every one of you. Now, also in the concept we have seen before the break, just to reiterate that, using the parent type reference. See here, whatever plane you have created, what is the type of plane? What is the type of this? Is it string type, integer type, double type? No. It is of what type? Aeroplane type. What is the type of this plane? What is the data type of the plane? Aeroplane. And what is the aeroplane? Aeroplane is the parent of fighter plane. It's a parent of cargo plane. Great. And using this parent type reference, you can access overridden method present in the child class. Yes or no? We can access. And that is what we have understood earlier also. Now what I'm going to do is, I will be commenting this part here. I will comment this part. All right. I will just comment this part. And I'm going to comment this part also. Okay. I'll create the reference of cargo only here. I will say reference of cargo plane. Cargo plane type plane 1. Or maybe the reference I'll give it as whatever the variable name. I'll say here fighter plane. Okay. 2 objects we have. Yeah, sure, Arul, there is no problem. Memory also not a big deal. It's very easy. Nothing even to think about the memory, because memory you have to think for the fundamentals of Java, how the objects created, how for the instance variable memory will be allocated. Okay, we shall see that. Now guys, because I have a time constraint, I have to complete the concept of interfaces also. But if you ask any of our student, Telesco student, we teach Java for 2 to 3 months. We teach everything with memory maps, everything in depth. We have covered so many batches at Telesco. Okay, great. Now, why did you create another class? You'll understand that, Shanana. You'll understand that. I want to make sure, I want to give you one of the advantages of polymorphism here. I'm creating the object here. Plane is the reference, cargo plane. I'm creating one more object, fighter plane. And the reference is plane 2. What's the type? Fighter plane. Great. Any issues to anyone here so far? No. I'll go here. I will create the object of airport. Airport type airport equals to new airport. New airport. I just want to show you that with the help of polymorphism, you can make your application flexible, as well as you can achieve dynamic binding, and you can reduce the code size. How it will help you, you will understand. I have created this. I'll say a dot, which is airport dot permit. Please here, permit. Whenever you're invoking a method, if it is expecting you to pass something, don't you think you have to pass? Example, if there is a method here, it is expecting you to pass integer data. Will you call the method and pass some integer data? All of you agree, especially those who are in Zoom, please do respond. Yes, right? Right now, I'm invoking a method permit. It is expecting me to pass what type of data? Is it string type of data, integer type of data, double type of data, or aeroplane type of data? What type of data it is expecting me to pass? Aeroplane type of data. All of you agree? Now, to this aeroplane type of data, I will pass plane 1. Plane 1. Plane 1 has address of which object, my dear friends? It has address hash code of which object? Cargo plane. All of you agree on this? It has address of this cargo plane. Everyone in the class. Great. That is what you are passing here. So when you invoke this method and pass the plane 1, from here, that address went here. Do you think it is equivalent to this? It is equivalent to this. I'll say new cargo plane. Is it equivalent to this? Because this object's address is present inside this reference. All of you, do you agree on this? That's what present inside this reference, right? And that is what I am passing here. So what we are receiving inside this variable? Address of cargo plane. So it is equivalent to this. Right now, if I have to ask you one simple question, inside this plane reference variable, address of which object is present? Address of which object is present? Very simple question to all of you. Cargo plane. If I say plane dot takeoff, plane dot fly, takeoff and fly method of which object will be invoked? Cargo plane. All of you? Great, wonderful. After that, I'll just give one, just to have a differentiating factor. I would like to, oh my goodness, I'll go back here and I will say system.out.println. I would like to just give one divider just to have a differentiating factor. Again, I will say here airport dot permit, and here I would like to pass address of plane 2. Second time when I'm invoking, could not understand this. Everyone else is understanding Saranaya. That shows that you have not understood the first part, second half. We have discussed the concept of inheritance. I would suggest you to watch that part. Shreya, is it possible as per the Java? If you are part of the first session, I want you to answer this. Is it possible? Immediately, please respond. If not, I will proceed here. I cannot wait. I'm invoking this permit method and passing plane 1. Plane 1 has address of which object? It has address of which object? Cargo plane. Do you agree? I'm passing this address here. So I'm invoking this method and to this I'm passing. So inside the plane, address of which object you are passing? Cargo plane. So is it equivalent to this? Is it equivalent to this? Now if I say plane dot takeoff, plane dot fly, plane has address of which object? Cargo plane. So is it equivalent to calling the takeoff method and fly method which is present inside the cargo class? The overridden method which is present here, is it equivalent to calling them? And that is what I had told earlier also. Now also I told the same. It's the problem of focus. Okay. Same thing I have just repeated. Nothing else. Great. Now again I'm invoking that method. Shranaya and others in the class, those who are active, I want you to answer. I'm invoking the permit. I'm passing plane 2. Plane 2 has address of which object? Plane 2 has address of which object? Fighter plane. So fighter plane is what you are passing here. So is it equivalent to this, guys? Now, right now, is it equivalent to this? Okay. Again, I'll go at the top of this. Here cargo, no, fighter plane. So now plane has address of cargo plane or fighter plane? Fighter. So takeoff method, overridden method present in the takeoff and the fly method present in the takeoff. It will be called of fighter plane or cargo plane right now. Which class? Fighter planes class. All of you? Good to see Arbaz, Vishal, Narayana. All of you are very active and good to see you. Sheikh. Great. Now look at the entire class. Look at the entire code file. How many times I'm invoking takeoff and fly method? How many times did I write the code to invoke takeoff and fly method? How many times? How many times you have invoking takeoff method in the entire code? You please see here. How many times? How many times you have written the code? How many times it is invoking? No. How many times it has been written, coded? How many times it has been coded? Only once is your answer. I would like to just execute this. If I have to execute this code, are you getting the message of takeoff and fly of cargo plane also? Takeoff and fly of the fighter plane also? Can I say one? Can I say one is to many? One is to many. What is one is to many, guys? Polymorphism. Are you understanding here? One, polymorphism, many. So with the help of runtime polymorphism, one code, is it giving you different behavior at the runtime? Takeoff method, one time you are calling, writing. Fly method one time, but is it giving you different output at the runtime? Different behavior at the runtime? This is called as runtime polymorphism. This is called as true polymorphism, real polymorphism. And this is happening because of the concept of method overriding and by creating parent type reference for the child type of object. How? Please see here. Suppose guys, if you are not overridden this method in the cargo and passenger plane, fighter plane, you are not writing the maybe I'll not override this. I will just go here and comment this part. I'm not overriding it. Okay. All of you, I'm not overriding this. I'm not overriding this method. If you don't override this method, does it have the same behavior of the parent class? All of you agree on this? Same as the parent class, everyone in the class. Now I would like to execute this. Are you able to see the different behavior at the runtime? Different behavior at the runtime? Is creating parent type reference for the child type of object, is it giving you any benefits? Is it giving you any benefits creating a parent type reference for the child type of object? No benefits. It is giving you same behavior at the runtime. So what is the key factor for the runtime polymorphism or the true polymorphism? Method overriding, which will give you different output at the runtime. Let me just uncomment this part. Those who have understood the concept of inheritance, for them. Those who have not understood, it is available in the dashboard as well as in the YouTube. You can watch it. I would like to just see here, run this, because here I am overriding it. Here I am overriding. Are you getting different behavior? Same code behaving differently at the runtime. Take off only once. You are getting the body of cargo plane also. You are getting the body of the fighter plane also. Runtime polymorphism. Yes, every one of you. Real development use case, after the interfaces, I'll develop applications. If we are going in the same pace, I'm pretty sure that I'll be in a position to teach you today itself. One of the most important concept, which is association, has a relationship, or you can say, see, entire Spring framework lies on the core. If you don't know Spring core, you cannot understand any other module of Spring framework. And Spring core is inversion of control and dependency injection, which helps you to decouple the dependencies between the classes. What do you mean by decoupling? What do you mean by loose coupling? What is dependency injection? What is inversion of control? In today's class, I will teach you without touching Spring framework. So what problem Spring framework is trying to solve, we will understand Why Spring Framework we will understand without touching the framework with Java code after the interfaces concept at the end. Now this is the concept of runtime. If possible, can you give overall composition? That is only Satya. In the same concept, I will discuss that. Association, real-time example only. I will discuss that at the end of today's class. Has a relationship, association, why Spring Framework, composition, everything within one code file. Now let's move to the abstract class and then we'll move to the interfaces. Abstract class, quick break and then quick 1-2 minute of break and then we shall start with interface. And people are demanding me to teach association, composition, loose coupling, real-time usage of this, real-time use of polymorphism. I will show you in today's class itself. Okay. So this polymorphism, I hope you could able to understand, guys. Now tell me one question for all of you. Everyone in the class. I have one question. While creating the object for the... Yes, you can do that, Nitish. No problem. You can do that, Nishit Kulkarni. I have one question, guys. There is some body present inside this class. There is body present inside this class. Now tell me, there are two child classes. Is there any child class which is using the body of parent class as it is? I have question for all of you. I need response from those who are people, those who are from the Zoom. Whatever behavior is there. See here, child class, this is also overriding it. Here also it is overriding. Here also we are overriding. So that body is of no use. Why to give that body if they are not using? Don't give it. Don't give it. Why to give this body if none of the child classes are giving? Don't give it. So in Java, can we have a methods without a body, without the definition? The answer is yes. And such methods we call it as abstract methods. Whenever you have a method with only signature without body, we call them as abstract method. And if you just write this much, it is not sufficient. You have to use one keyword. That keyword is abstract. Abstract means that implementation is not there. Definition is not there. Body is not there. Definition, implementation, body, there are three different terms meaning referring to same. Abstract, that means this body is not there. One more point. In a class, suppose there is a class here, and in that class there are a total of 100 methods. Out of 100 methods, if one method is also abstract, suppose 99 methods are concrete methods referring to normal methods with body, like the way we write the method. But out of 100, only single method is abstract. Whether one method is abstract, 10 methods is abstract, all methods are abstract. In a class, if one method is also abstract, must and should, you should give the class also abstract. Yes, sure, Santya. One method is also abstract, then must and should, you should give class also abstract. Abstraction, no implementation. Implementation is done by some other classes. Are you all able to understand? Yes, no, maybe here. So, can we have methods without body in a class? What is your answer? Is it compulsory to use the abstract keyword in a class if there is no methods? Yes, it is compulsory. Suppose in a class, if one method is also abstract, then must and should class also should be declared as abstract. Now tell me, in this class, two methods are there. Both of them are abstract. For both of them, is there any implementation, guys? For both of them, is there any implementation? For both, there is no implementation. So how many % of abstraction here? Can we say it is 100% abstraction? Yeah. Suppose I have one more method here. I'll say here public void. I'll say here maybe landing method. Okay, I have a landing method here. I will system.out.println. I will just say here flight or plane is landing. I'll say here aeroplane is landing. Now can you say this as 100% abstraction? Okay, the next key point is in abstract class we can have both abstract and concrete methods. In abstract class, we can have both abstract as well as concrete class. You can see here, in this class, we have abstract methods, we have normal concrete method. That's possible. Great. One more very, very crucial point here. See here, using the aeroplane reference, using the abstract class reference, I'm invoking the method. Reference is aeroplane type. I'm invoking the methods here. But that method's body, is it present inside the aeroplane class or is it implemented by the inherited child classes? It is implemented by the child classes or the implementation is present in the aeroplane. All of you are answering, it is implemented by the child classes after inheriting. But if I invoke this actual body, is it present inside this class? Is it actually present inside this class? A real implementation is hidden. I hope you could able to understand. Very, very important point which you need to understand is I'm creating the reference of aeroplane. Type I'll say airplane. Any issues, guys? No. I will now create the object. Object instance different names. Is it allowing you? Error. Aeroplane is abstract, cannot be instantiated. In the morning session, I had told instantiated means object creation. So it cannot create the object. So if someone asks in the interview, can you create object or instance of an abstract class? Abstract class means it is an incomplete class. Such a class for which implementation will not be there. For which there will be some methods which does not have the implementation, does not have the body. So it is like, why are you creating the object when body, we have such methods for which implementation, actual code is not there. So by following this, as per the rule of Java, you cannot create the object of abstract class, but you can create the reference. Using that reference, you can invoke the overridden methods of child classes. So reference creation is possible, but not the object. Is that also clear to everyone in the class? Those who are specially watching me on the Zoom or the YouTube? All of you? Yes, no, maybe? Great. So using the abstract class, can we achieve abstraction? Can we achieve the abstraction? The answer is yes, we can achieve it. Yeah. Yeah, Sushant, I can see your chat too. You cannot talk, but I can see your chat. If abstraction is achieved using the abstract class, can you achieve 100% abstraction or we can go with partial? Right now, whatever you can see on your screen, it's partial abstraction. If you want to achieve 100% abstraction, we have a concept of interfaces. We need to understand the concept of interface, which we will see in the next few minutes of time. But before that, I would like to discuss on the concept of final keyword, which is the most important from the point of interview. If all of you may permit me, can we start the discussion on the final keyword quickly? Directly, see, by considering the time frame which we have within with me, I am directly explaining the concept with the code. Okay, guys, first part about the final keyword. I'll maybe take one more class to explain you the concepts without disturbing the existing code file. I would like to go here and create a Java class. Name of the class, I'll give it as launch final. It's very, very important, guys, which you must be knowing it. Okay. And quickly in 10 minutes, I'll complete this part and 2-3 minutes of break, interfaces. And as per your demand, we'll discuss composition, association, loose coupling, decoupling, why Spring Framework. Okay. I'll say class alpha, any class in that matter, alpha, beta, whatever you want, you can create. All right. I'll say here class beta. Wonderful. I would like to create 2 classes. I'll go here and write one method, public void display. All right. I will say maybe one message here that it is alpha method of alpha class, some message. The moment I say extends alpha, all of you know that whatever method we have here, that got inherited. Sure, Arul, sure. Okay. Objects, see, cargo plane object and passenger plane fighter plane objects are getting created on the heap area. References are getting created on the runtime stack area. So aeroplane is just a reference, but the actual implementation is cargo plane and passenger plane, for which memory is allocated on the heap area. And all the method calls in Java, memory is allocated on the runtime stack area. Okay. Anyway, guys, the moment you say extends, you got inherited here, no problem. I would like to implement the main method here. Now I'll create, please see very carefully, I'll create the beta, maybe alpha type reference or beta, whatever you want you can do, no problem, equals to new beta. Okay. Using the reference, can I call this method? I can call because it is inherited here, no problem. I'll make the class final. First of all, you can apply the final keyword to a class. You can apply the final keyword to a variable. You can apply final keyword to a method. We need to understand what happens if you apply to a class, what happens if you apply to a method, what happens if you apply to a variable. I'm applying to a class. If you apply final keyword from the class, you are restricting this class from inheritance. That means no one can inherit from this class. Final classes do not participate in inheritance. If they are not participating in inheritance, I'm getting one compile time error, that how can you say extends from alpha? Alpha is final class. See the message of Java compiler, cannot inherit from the final alpha. If you apply final keyword to a class, do they participate in inheritance? No. That means no one can inherit from that class. The point number one about final keyword, is it clear to everyone? If all of you may permit, please do tell me. Is it clear to every one of you? Point one. Yep. You cannot inherit from that class. Very straightforward. Second point. You can apply final keyword to a method. I'm applying final keyword to a method. Okay. I'm applying final keyword to a method. Guys, I'm applying the final keyword to a method and I'm invoking the display method using the beta. If I'm getting the output, I have one question to all of you present in the class. Do final method participate in inheritance? If you are getting this message using the display method of beta class, that means display method is present here or not? Display method is present here or not? I repeat, you are answering wrong. I'm creating the object of beta. Using the beta, I'm invoking display. If I'm getting the output, is it present here? It is present, right? All of you? That means final method, do they participate in inheritance? The answer is yes. Final methods do participate in inheritance. Good answer from all of you. But you cannot override them. You cannot override them. I'll say here. See, if I try to override, I'm getting one error. What is the compiler trying to say? Display method cannot override. Overridden method is a final method. So the next part is, we can declare method as final. That method do get inherited in the child classes, but can you override that? Is the question. Can you override that? Yes or no? After maybe 5 minutes, we can have a 3-4 minutes of break and then we shall start again. Yeah. So you cannot override. So final class, do they participate in inheritance? Yes. I mean, no. Final class cannot participate in inheritance. Final method, they will get inherited, but you cannot override. And we have a concept of variable. I'll say here, int is a type of, maybe let me go here and say double type of pi value. Double type of pi value. What is the value of pi, guys? 3.14. I'll go here and maybe change that. I'll say here pi equals to 4.14. Am I able to change the value of a variable? Name what? Variable. That means whatever data you keep inside this, that variable can vary, can change. You can change that, no problem. Are you getting it? But the moment you make it final, You cannot change it. I'm getting compile time error. You can see here, cannot reassign the value to this final variable. So you can apply final keyword to a variable also. However, if you apply final keyword to a variable, then you cannot reassign the value. It will behave like a constant. Constant means one single value. So three things about the final keyword quickly we understood. Number one, final keyword can be applied to a class. If you apply to a class, that class will not participate in inheritance. Number two, final keyword can be applied to a method. If you apply to a method, that you cannot override. That method will get inherited, but you cannot override. Point number three, you can apply to a variable, but that variable will behave like a constant. You cannot reassign the value to that variable. If you have understood abstract class, abstract final class, I have one question, quick question to all of you. The question is very simple here. We have understood the concept of abstract class, right? And I have a question to all of you. Abstract class means, is it a complete class or incomplete class? If you have understood, what do you mean by abstract class? Incomplete class. That means someone else has to implement that and they have to give the body, correct? By keeping that logic, tell me one answers, especially those who are replying me on the chat interestingly. I have one question. Can you make abstract class final? Final means you cannot inherit. Abstract class means inheritance is compulsory there to give the body. So can you make final class abstract? Abstract method means what, guys? No body. Someone has to inherit and override. They have to give the implementation. All of you agree? Final method means that will get inherited, but can you override the final method? Can you override the final method? The answer is no. By keeping that in mind, answer me one question, that can you make abstract method final? So if you are part of my class from the morning, I have one question. Have you got basic idea about the concept of inheritance, polymorphism, abstract class, abstract methods, and final keyword in Java? Have you all in the class? Good to see the response. Those who are watching from the YouTube also. All right. So this is the concept of abstraction. And now the second part which you need to understand here is about interface. Quickly, 30 minutes I'll discuss on the concept of interface, and then we shall understand composition, association, loose coupling, real use of concept of interfaces, polymorphism in the real-time development, and what is the purpose of Spring Framework. All these things in one application. In one application, I will teach you what? Why Spring Framework, dependence injection, inversion of control, real use of polymorphism, composition, association, Spring Core, everything with just one application after the concept of interfaces in today's class itself. Is that fine, every one of you present in the class? All of you? If you're excited, make sure you join the session immediately. Let's take quick 3 minutes of break and then we shall be getting back. All right. So I hope you could able to understand. Let's take three. Okay. Let's give the 5 minutes of break and we shall be back after the break. Meet you all guys after the break. Alright guys, can you tell me the answer if we can make abstract class final? The answer is no, Shrayana, because abstract class means there is no implementation. Someone has to inherit, extend that class. They have to inherit the abstract methods and they have to override it. And final class will not participate in inheritance. If you make abstract class final, then no one can inherit the abstract class abstract methods. That means no one can give any body. So it will be like as if there is no, point of having that class. Okay. Good that Narayana Lakshmi Madala has given some key points. Lakshmi, I think one of the student also we had Lakshmi. I think she is the same. Whatever points I'm sharing in the chat, Zoom chat, it is same of what you know Lakshmi is trying to give. Yes, she's our student. Okay, I'm not sure if we can copy from the chat. I'll not be in a position to share that. Yeah, I could able to share. Whatever points I'm sharing right now in the chat, I have not written that. One of the student who is participating the session has given the summary of what we have discussed. So guys, with this note, we could able to understand runtime polymorphism very briefly and quick time. And we could able to understand final keyword. We could able to understand abstract class, abstract keyword. Okay. Now we need to understand interface very quickly and discuss one more topic of the day. Tomorrow's class, first half, exception handling collection, second half, stream API followed by annotation. Okay, now that's the discussion for tomorrow. Great. So interface is what we need to discuss right now. In order to create the interface, we use the keyword interface. Let me just go and show you this. I'll go and create as a new project itself, or maybe same project. It should not create any problem there. Okay, let's go with the same. Okay. See, the concept of abstraction and the interfaces where actual implementation is not there. Someone else will give the implementation. It is there to give your requirement. It is to specify what requirement you have for which someone has to do the implementation. The whole purpose of abstraction is to give what is that your requirement for which someone has to give the code. Someone has to implement. So one of the way to specify what needs to be done is through the concept of abstraction. I'm telling you the real-time scenario as a developer. So we use interfaces, abstract classes to specify what need to be done, wherein someone else will give the implementation for the same. Okay, now great. Now let me just go here, or maybe I'll create as a new project interface. I'll say new project. Name of the project, I'll give it as interface in Java, interfaces. I'll say here same window, this window, let's go with the different window. Okay, to avoid the confusions and ambiguity. And also same window, I was getting some compile time error, some ID is behaving very weird. So to avoid that, it's better to go with this. Okay. All right, guys, I'll go here within the same class. Let's go here and create it. Great. I'll go here. How do we create interface? By using one keyword called as interface. Again, focus is the key, dear friends. Interface. Whatever name of the interface you want, you can specify. It's your own choice. Any name of the interface, it should not be a problem. Okay. I will say interface. I'll give the name as Calci. Name of the interface is Calci. Within this, I will write one method, public, or maybe I'll say here integer type of add. One more, void display, just to show you that need not to be same. One message I wanted to give you, and I will say here maybe integer type of number 1 comma integer type of number 2. Whatever way you can write the method. Two methods I have written, guys. Did I use the keyword public or abstract? Did I use that? What is your answer in the chat? The answer is no. I have not used it. So inside an interface, whether you write or you don't write, by default, that's the nature of this interface keyword. That's the default nature of this interface keyword. the default nature is whether you write or you don't write, by default it is public abstract int add. Same method is considered behind the scene like this. What do you mean by that? I have written only int add this signature, but behind the scene it has been considered add this public abstract int add. Kindly see here. I hope you could able to understand this. Yes, no, maybe. So whether you write or you don't write, in an interface, all the methods are public and abstract. That's the nature of this keyword. By default, all the methods are abstract. But if you want, you can write also, no problem. I can write here, public abstract. You're not getting any error. But what's the point? Why you want to waste the time of typing two words explicitly and waste your precious fingers, energy, lot of energy required to type, right? Public abstract. Why? Even if you don't write, all the methods are public and abstract. Understanding, dear friends, all of you? Now answer me one thing. They are abstract means, do we have any definition inside this body? I mean, inside these methods, do we have any body? Do we have any implementation? No body. Someone else have to give the body. All of you? Yes, no, maybe. Maybe someone is starting something very big. I'll not be able to read. Maybe at the end we can discuss if there is something if you want to discuss with us. Okay. Yes, Gopi Chand says all the methods in an interface are by default public and abstract. 100% correct. I'll say now class myCalci. I will say implements Calci. We don't use extends keyword. We say implements keyword. Implements means it will inherit these methods. It is, if in simplified word, if I have to tell you, it is like you are promising my class. Implements means I am telling like I am promising Calci for your abstract method. I will give the implementation. It's like class myCalci promises Calci class that whatever abstract method is there inside this Calci interface, it will give the implementation for the same. Implements keyword also inherits the methods. It will also do the inheritance. That means whatever two abstract methods are there, public abstract methods are there, these two methods got inherited as it is here. From your eyes, you could not able to see something here. You cannot directly see. But if I have told you that this is also inheriting, tell me one thing. These two abstract methods, have they got inherited here inside this class right now? What is your answer on this? Yes. So whenever you say implements an interface, you have two options. Option number one, whatever methods is there inside the interface from where you are implementing, give body for all of them. Option number two, declare the class also abstract. Why? Because two abstract methods are there right now inside this class. And tell me one thing, if there is only one abstract class in a class, is it compulsory to declare the class also abstract? Yes. Right now, how many abstract methods are there inside this myCalci class, guys? Totally, how many abstract methods are there within myCalci class? There are two abstract methods. Either declare the class abstract or give the implementation. There is an option directly, implement methods. I'll click this. Okay, you can see methods are implemented. Override, this is one of the annotations. Since we have not discussed annotation, I was not using. Recommended whenever you're overriding a method. If you don't use, no problem. But if you use, good to have a good coding practice. Since we have not discussed the concept of annotations, I know wanted you to give some extra trouble, extra thinking. I have not used, but good to go with this, and I would like to go with this. Okay, I will say here return. Maybe I would like to just say here number 1 plus number 2. Of course, not equal, it is plus. And here some information I would like to give, system.out.println. Maybe here. Okay, I'll say visit .com. There's this one message, a random message. I would like to save this. Great. Now I would like to create the object of implementing class. I'll say here new. myCalci is the object. Object is created successfully. And to this object, I will create the reference. A reference I'll give it as Calci. Tell me guys, if you have understood so far polymorphism concept. For any implementing classes, can I give the reference of parent type, upper hierarchy type? The answer is yes. All of you are answering in the chat. Then we can create the reference of interface for its implementing class also with the help of runtime polymer. So now I'll say calc dot, right, clc is the reference variable. Okay, dot, I can invoke the add method and I can pass some data, maybe 4 and 4, right? And maybe I would like to print whatever that will return me. I would like to just print whatever it will return me. I would like to print it. Okay, on my monitor screen, on my console, I would like to print, and I will say calc dot display method. Okay. I would like to just go here and run. All right, guys, you can see here it is executing successfully. We got the result. Now through interface, you are just giving your requirement, what need to be done. Some other class will implement and give the implementation. Is that clear? What if we don't override? Very good question, for which already I have given the answer, but I will repeat the answer for that. Do you need to implement all the abstract methods in the child class? The answer is yes. For both of the questions, I would like to say, do you agree whether even if you have not specified, do you agree both the methods are public and abstract? Do you agree on this? Sushant and Gopi Chand? Both of you have told yes. Great. Both of them have told yes, they agree. And I have told you implements keyword also does the task of extending. That means these two methods get inherited here also. If you just say implements calc, these two methods gets inherited. Do you agree? If these two methods are getting inherited, that means there are two abstract methods here. Do you agree on this also? There are two abstract methods. And tell me, if one method is abstract in a class, can you create object of that class? More on this. Is it compulsory to declare the class also abstract? Yes. It is compulsory to declare the class also abstract. Can we implement only one method? No. If suppose you are implementing this method, you are implementing this, you are not implementing this. Tell me, Gopi Chand, do we have one abstract method here already present? One overridden you have given, one implementation you have given. But this method is inherited as it is as an abstract method. And if there is only one, if one method is also abstract, it is compulsory to declare the class also abstract, and you cannot you cannot create the instance of this class. Done, every one of you? For one interface, you can have any number of implementing classes. There is no problem there. I would like to just go here and write one more implementing class just to show you that. I will say here we have one more implementing class. I'll say mycalc2. For one interface, you can have 100 implementing classes. There is no problem in that. Making sense? And one more beautiful part which you need to understand. If you are suppose I have one more interface here. Interface name is calc2. Calc, I'll say 2. And I'll say here, I would like to remove this. I will say here maybe multiplication. Okay, great. My dear friends, all of you, inside this interface, how many methods are there? Inside the interface number 2, the answer is one interface we have. I mean, one abstract method we have. So abstract method, right? No body. A class can implement multiple interfaces. As a human, I can make a promise to multiple people, right? Like I can fulfill your requirement also. I can, example, some of them were asking me, will you teach composition and association? I said yes. One more fellow asked me, will you teach me has a relationship? I told yes. One more fellow asked me, did you teach me dependence injection? I told yes. So I have promised 3 of you. It is real time possible. So here also one class can implement multiple interfaces. There is no problem. You can implement multiple interfaces without any problem. I will add the unimplemented methods here. I will just go here and add the implemented methods. Let me add it. See, there it is gone. Maybe I'll say here number 1 into number 2. So can a class implement multiple interfaces? A very good question. What is the difference between abstract class and interface? Very good question. I will discuss the differences. because that is one of the interview asked common question for a Java developer. Even if you are an experienced developer, they may ask one common question, that what is the difference between an interface and abstract class. We shall discuss. But to start with, tell me one thing, guys. Can a class implement multiple interfaces? Yes. 2, 3, 4, 5. One class can implement 1000 interfaces, no problem. There is no restriction on number of interfaces it can implement. A class can extend one more class and implement an interface at a time. I'll say here, I'll say class, maybe I'll say here beta, or maybe I'll say here one class, I'll say here telescope. Okay, we have one class here. Dear friends, we have one class here. My calci class is implementing these interfaces. I can say here extends telescope. Any problem? But first extends, then implements. Whenever you are performing extension and implementation, first extends, then followed by implements. So with this, I would like to ask one question. Can you create the object creation line? I would request Rayana to please watch first half, second part, because I could see 3-4 times you have asked the doubts. The entire doubts are dependent on the second part of morning session. I want you to watch the inheritance topic. It will be clear to you. It's not a big deal. It's very easy. Okay. You're just creating the object. I have told you repeatedly. I have explained you also. It's not like I have not repeated. I have repeated multiple times. Still a confusion. Watch the videos. Now, please tell me, guys, or maybe at the end you can ask me the same question. Not in between, because others are getting disturbed. I'm extending the class and implementing the interfaces. Both. Is it possible? Yes. If you have understood this, I have one question. If a class is implementing one interface, suppose I have one class that is implementing one interface. To that class, the requirement came that you may have to, extend one more class, or you may have to implement some other interfaces. Will implementing one interface restrict that class to not implement some more interfaces or not to extend some other classes? Will it have any, restrictions on the class? So if a class is implementing an interface, if need arises, can the same class extend one more class? Can the same class implement few more interfaces in future? What is your answer on this? Yes. So if a class is implementing an interface, will it have any impositions, restrictions on that particular class? The answer is no. I hope all of you are able to understand. Okay, which keyword is used to perform, which keyword is used to implement an interface from a class? It is the implements keyword. Yep. And few more things, guys, which I would like to highlight here is, one interface cannot implement one more interface. One interface cannot implement one more interface. It's like your friend who is completely broke is trying to promise you that he will fill your financial problems. Then you are telling to your friend, look at yourself first. You yourself first, solve your own problem. Then you can try to solve my problems. It is like one interface is promising, I promise you that whatever unimplemented methods we have, I will give the implementation. This interface will be like, oh, look at yourself first. You yourself is an interface. You are also an interface. You also cannot give implementation. I hope you are able to understand this, everyone in the class. So can one interface implement one more interface, guys? No, you cannot do that. Can one interface extend another interface? Yes, it is possible. That means whatever problems you have, can you share all your problems with your friend? That means your friend had its own problems. Now you gave some extra problems. No problem. And that's what we usually do it. So this had two unimplemented methods, and these two unimplemented methods are there right now in this interface also. Extends means whatever is there as it is will get inherited here also. All of you present? If you have given body of one method in a class, if we have given body of one method in a class, suppose there are two methods here. Both of them are abstract methods. Rayana, do you agree? Both of them are abstract method. Do you agree? I'm giving one, I'm not giving body for this. That is what your question is. I'll give only one, I'll not give body for this. Correct? Only one I'll give the body, not the other. I have told here implements. Implements means these two methods will get inherited as it is. You are giving body for this, but this method is there as it is here. And that is there as it is as public and abstract, because all the methods inside an interface are public and abstract. So in that regard, inside this class also we have a public and abstract method, because that got inherited from an interface. Shayana, implements keyword also used. In that case, in a class, if one method is also abstract, is it compulsory to declare the class also abstract? Is it compulsory to declare the class also abstract? The answer is yes. Because if there is only one method, you have to declare the class also abstract. Fine. So it is compulsory for an implementing class to give the definition of an interface whenever you are implementing. Great. Quickly guys, many more things to be discussed. Whatever fundamentals are needed, I have discussed on the interface. But one change Narayan Lakshmi is asking me, and that is what I would like to highlight. This is the story of interface from Java alpha beta version, Java first version till Java 8 version. That means from 1995 till around 2010s, 2013, 14s, from 95. Almost for that decade, almost for nearly 2 decades, this is the story of an interface. After nearly 2 decades, Java took a U-turn. And from Java 8, they told inside an interface, we can have method with body. The entire story flipped. Java developers were in confusion state, because for almost 15 years plus, the story of interface is it has only methods which are abstract, non-implementing methods. All of a sudden, Java 8 came as a shocker and told, hey, look, Java developers, the rule of interface is changed. From Java 8 version, you can have a methods with a body, with a... Can we have a variable inside an interface? Yes, we can have a variable. I will say integer type of age equals to 18 or maybe whatever age. And all the variables inside an interface are public, static, final, int age. So you are writing like this, but behind the scene it is considered like this. Okay, fine. Now guys, can we have a body? Yes, we can have that. There is no problem. I'll go here and write this body. I will say here void. I will say information. I will say typo. Okay, I'll go here, maybe some information I'll give sys out. I will say here Telesco is coming up with live Spring Boot batch. Okay, some message information I'm giving. Hold on, are we not getting error here? Interfaces, abstract methods cannot have body. What did I just say? From Java 8 onwards, we can have body for a method inside an interface. Correct. But the moment I wrote a method with a body, what did my compiler said? Hey fool, do you even know Java? How can you give a body to a method in an interface? They are abstract. Don't try to fool me. Guys, the nature of this interface keyword is the nature at which this keyword has been designed in a way that all the methods of this interface are by default public and abstract. And that nature cannot be changed all of a sudden. If they change the nature, then for almost 15 years, lakhs and crores of projects which has been developed, all of them will get affected. All of them will get affected. How can you call the methods of both the interfaces using one object? Anyway, the moment you say extends, this all the methods are inherited here, and whichever class is implementing this interface, they will give implementation for all the methods. Methods of this also, methods of this also. Okay. You cannot call through interface only. You can call Gopichan, or if it is a static method, you can call it. Now, my dear friends, what did I say? From Java 8 onwards, we can have a method with body. Yes or no? Did I say that or not? When I try to give the body, what did compiler say? Hey fool, are you mad? How can you give a body for an abstract method? There's a twist. Either compiler is wrong or I'm wrong. Java compiler is wrong or I'm wrong. I'm telling both of them are correct. I'm also correct. Java compiler is also correct. The nature of the interface keyword is all the methods by default, they are public and abstract. But they wanted to give the implementation in an interface also, for which they introduced one new keyword called as default keyword. So whenever you give any body to a method in an interface, you must give by using the default keyword. Directly you should not give. And we call this as default methods of an interface. And now guys, abstract method, it is compulsory for an implementing class to override, but default methods, it is not compulsory. If you want, you can override. It is not final methods. Override can be done. If you don't want to override, no problem, but this will get inherited as it is in an implementing classes. I will say here CLC dot, you can see display method is there. That information method is there. See, I'm able to invoke the information. That means it is getting inherited, but you need not to override. If you want, you can override, no problem. Right? Why static final in their variable? Shana, that's the rule they have made. If you want to give a common value for all the implementing classes and none of the implementing class should override it, then in that case, you can use a variable inside a interface. Why? This will get inherited in all the child implementing classes, but none of them can change. If, see, interface is one of the way to give the requirement, right? What needs to be done, where someone else will give the implementation. You have to specify what needs to be done, for which someone else will give the implementation. And maybe you want to give some common value which you want to be there in all the implementing classes, which those implementing classes should not change the value. You want some fixed value and you want this to be there in all the implementing classes. Whichever class is implementing this interface, you want some value to be there in that, and none of the implementing classes should change it. In that case, you can create a variable inside an interface. That's the nature of a variable inside an interface. Okay. So guys, can we have default methods in an interface? The answer is yes. Little more I would like to discuss on the interfaces, and I will start the journey of association, or maybe this is fundamentally sufficient. Okay. Tomorrow maybe I'll discuss the concept of lambda at the beginning, and we shall discuss the other topics in tomorrow's class. For now, fundamentally, by considering the time constraints we have, if you have got a fundamental idea on what these concepts are, I would like to go ahead and discuss whatever concept you had requested, which I had not planned, but I would like to discuss. Polymorphism, fundamentally, have you understood? Those who have understood the concept of inheritance. I will discuss the functional interface, Malik Arjuna. Tomorrow morning, functional interface and lambda expression I will discuss. Is that fine with you? Depends on your time, Shayna. Both of them, the concepts are same. Like if you want to learn fast track, then learn this. If not, join the 3 months batch. Final keyword, abstract class, abstract methods, interfaces. Fundamentally, these concepts, if you are able to understood, now I'll take 3 minutes of break. After the break, the concept which I want to discuss is this. I will discuss why Spring Framework. Why Spring Framework. In the umbrella of why Spring Framework, you will understand what we call association, composition, the concept of loose coupling, tight coupling, the concept of loose coupling. You'll understand the real use of polymorphism, use of runtime polymorphism, real-time use of interface concept. You'll understand the implementation of strategy design pattern, all of these things, dependency injection, I will discuss setter injection, I will discuss constructor injection. So guys, these many topics I will discuss in one application. So after now 5 minutes of break, or maybe 3 minutes of or 5 minutes of break, we shall discuss these topics. All of you are okay? And these are real time topics, and they are very very important topics. If all of you are okay, I shall be discussing this after the break of 5 minutes. Fine. So let's meet after the break of 5 minutes. All right, every one of you. See you after the break, guys. I will discuss that after the break. I'll discuss it, that difference between interface and abstract class. I'll discuss. uh, the one who is texting with some number will convey this message. Maybe at the end of this class, same can be discussed. Okay, it is live on YouTube also. Between the class, it's not good to discuss. It's fine if you're fine with it. Okay, let's start the discussion for the topics which I have mentioned. If I'm audible to all of you present in the class, yeah. Before that, since you guys have asked me to discuss on the difference between abstract class and an interface, the first difference is all the methods in abstract class need not to be abstract. We can have concrete methods or the abstract methods. In an interface, by default, all the methods are abstract. If you want, you can have a methods with body, but those methods are default methods, not the normal methods. The first difference. Second difference, inside an abstract class, all the methods are not by default public and abstract. If you want it to be public and abstract, you have to use the keyword public abstract. But in an interface, you need not to use public and abstract. Whether you write or you don't write, they are by default public and abstract both. Sure, Arul. Sure, definitely, Arul. Now, have you understood, guys, everyone? Two differences. Difference number 3. A class can extend only one class, but a class can implement any number of interfaces. Difference number 3. I hope you could able to understand this. Yeah. All the variables inside an interface are by default public, static, final. But all the variables inside an class are by default not public, static, or final. So likewise, you can create as many differences based on whatever only we have discussed. It could be more than that also. Now we shall start the discussion of the topics which I have mentioned here, guys. These topics we have to have a discussion. All this topic in one application. Before that, understand this, everyone. Just acknowledge if I am audible. Yes. Great. I will write one class here. Class alpha. Wonderful. Inside this class, I have one method. Any method of your own choice. Some method is there. Some piece of code I have. Similarly, I have one more class. Class beta. Okay. Let me do one thing here. I would like to erase this. I will write it here. I have one more class, which is class beta. All of you. Fine. Inside this, I have one method, void beta method. And inside this, so much of code is there, which is very, very crucial code. So far, any issue to anyone? All good? Very simple. Somewhere in between here, I am in need that whatever logic is present inside this method, I want to use that logic. Whatever code is been written here, that code I want to use it here. Okay. What is the big deal inside this? You can invoke this method. To invoke this method, it is a non-static method. First, you have to create the object of beta. So I will create beta type b equals to new beta. Beta type equals to new beta. And I will say b dot beta method I will call. So whatever task is there, that will get executed and you can write the remaining code. Is this story fine, every one of you? All good? This is called as composition. By creating the object of this, if you are invoking a method, we call this as composition. Creating the object of a class, invoking this method. With this composition, alpha and beta class are now tightly coupled with each other. What do you mean by tight coupling? Suppose if something goes wrong with beta class, something has gone wrong, or maybe someone has deleted this class, something goes wrong, it could be. Since you are using the beta name inside the alpha class, don't you think alpha class also will get affected? Because that you are using directly inside this alpha. Are you all understanding here? That means alpha and beta, both of them are now tightly bonded with each other. They both are tightly coupled with each other. So if something goes wrong in this class, alpha class is also dhamar. So it is not good to go with no composition. It is not good to go with this. We have one more option. Option number 2. I will say here extends beta. The moment you say extends beta, whatever method we have inside this beta class, that will get inherited inside the alpha. So directly you can call the beta method here. Do you agree, all of you? Those who know the fundamentals of Java? Everyone. But here also, are you not using the name of beta? Are you not using the name of beta? If someone deletes the class or something has gone wrong with this class, don't you think again it will get affected? To use the super keyword, you have to first make it as parent. Only then super keyword will work. So guys, if you go with composition, alpha class is getting tightly bonded with beta class. If you go with inheritance, in this also alpha class is tightly bonded with the beta class. Are you all understanding? They both are tightly coupled. If something goes wrong in the beta class, simultaneously things will go wrong in the alpha class. Now what is the requirement? What you want to achieve here? Okay. Now what is the requirement? I know what the skills. Okay. What I want to achieve is same classes. I will write once again here. I'll say class alpha. Okay. I will say here class beta. Okay. Inside this class, I will have some important methods, some business method. They are very, very important methods. All right. This method I should be able to call here, but I will not use the name of beta in the entire class. Beta name only I will not use. I will not go with the concept of inheritance. I will not go with the concept of composition. I will not even create the object of beta. I will not even say extends. Forget about extends and this. In the entire alpha class, beta name only I will not use. I will be in a position to invoke the display method inside the alpha. A display method of beta class inside the alpha. And if I am able to achieve this, it is only called as loose coupling. Are you getting where we are leading this discussion to everyone present in the class? So one class should be able to take help of one more class without direct dependency. I mean, without taking the name of beta class here. Beta word you will not see here. Nowhere beta. No inheritance. No composition. But I will be able to call this display. Can I achieve that? Everyone in the class, can I try to achieve that with the help of code? If you all may say yes, I will achieve. Great. The concepts you will understand here. I'll go back and create a new project. Name of the project, I'll give it as association project. Association project. Understand this, guys. I want it to be a new window as a new project. Understand to the best of your ability and give the maximum focus which you can give here. Okay. All right. I want everyone to give maximum focus. All of you present in the class. Okay. I will take, I'll create few of the business classes. Whenever you create a classes, it is recommended to follow the strategy design pattern. What does strategy design pattern says? Always write classes by coding to interface. That means don't write a class with implementation directly. First write an interface, define your requirement, define your abstraction, what needs to be done. Then write the class by implementing those interfaces, code to interface. Okay, now I'll go here and first create my interface. I'll say new class. There is an option of interface. I will give the interface name as iCourse. That's the name of my interface. Inside this interface, what needs to be done? I will give my requirement. I will say here boolean. I'll say here get the course is the name of the method, and within this I will specify double type of how much amount we need to pay. I would like to save this. Very simple. I will write some business classes here. Courses will act like a business class. I will write one as a Spring Boot class. I will write one more class here. I'll say one more Java class I want. Name of the class I'll give it as Spring Boot. We have DevOps. We have okay, some classes. Okay. Now I will say here Spring Boot implements iCourse interface. Spring Boot implements iCourse interface and DevOps implement iCourse interface. Sorry, I'll go back here and I will copy this. I'll come here and I will just paste it. If you are in the implementing the interface, guys, you have to give the body for unimplemented methods. Let me give the body here. Implements the method. I'll say okay. Within this method, I'll just give one quick reference. Maybe I'll say system.out.println. Actual logic should be there. Right now, considering the time constraint, I'll write the message. I will say here Spring Boot course purchased and fees paid is. I would like to go here and say amount. And after successfully course purchase, I will return it as true. That means this code is successful. That's the meaning of it. I'll go back here and here also I'll add the unimplemented methods by the help of ID. And I would like to go here and just add the same body with one small change. Which course is purchased now? DevOps course. Great. I have an interface to implementing classes. Very simple so far. Now I'll go and create one class. Name of the class, I'll give it as Telescope class. Okay. Inside the Telescope, I will write one method here. Public, maybe Boolean. Boolean. Or maybe whatever you want, Boolean. I'll say here, get the course. Whatever method name you want, you can give. I'll accept here. Double type of amount. Okay. I'll go back here. For now, I'll say return true. Guys, here inside this method, the requirement is I want to use body of whatever is there either in the Spring Boot class or either in the DevOps class. If I go to my Telescope, if I directly create the object of a DevOps like this, if I create directly object of a DevOps, now tell me DevOps class and the Telescope class, are they tightly coupled or loosely coupled? Don't you think this Telescope class and DevOps class are tightly bonded? If I delete DevOps class, don't you think this code will get affected here? Yes. See here, loose coupling. What do you mean by loose coupling? I will be in a position to invoke the methods which are there inside the Spring Boot class dynamically inside the DevOps class in my Telescope class without having to take the name of Spring Boot and DevOps. That means whatever method I have here and whatever method I have here, I should be in a position to invoke that method here, but without taking the name of DevOps, without taking the name of Spring Boot. If I am able to achieve that, it is loose coupling. Understanding every one of you. For which I will say here private iCourse. private I course, type maybe course. Tell me guys, as per the concept of runtime polymorphism, using the parent type reference, using the interface type reference, can you invoke the implementing methods of a child class? That's fine, double or double, both of them. That's a wrapper class, Siddharth. If you want, you can use primitive double. It should not be a problem. Primitive or capital or small, ignore that part for now. Guys, answer me one question, every one of you. Based on the concept of runtime polymorphism, using the parent type reference, can I invoke the implementing class of a child class or implementing methods of implementing class? Overridden methods of an implementing class, can I invoke? The answer is yes. All of you have told me yes. I'll go back here and I'll say course dot get the course. Is it get the course? Yeah, get the course. Just to have a differentiating factor, I'll give the different method here. I will give here the method name as by the course. Okay. What is the return type of these methods, guys? Return type of these methods is Boolean. Here also return type is Boolean. So I'll go here and I have to pass the amount. I'll pass the amount. I will collect that Boolean here. I will collect it back. Boolean type of what is the status, and whatever these methods are giving me, I will return that. I will return that status. Same code you can write in a better way, more optimized way. What is that more optimized way? I'll just go here and say return. I will say return course dot get the course. I'll pass the amount. Both of them are same. Why? This method which is present inside DevOps class, Spring Boot class, they are giving you a Boolean data. Whatever it is giving me, same thing, that Boolean result I am giving to the caller of this method. No problem, right? If it is more optimized, less readable, more optimized. Fine. Now guys, tell me, inside the Telescope class, have you seen me taking the name of DevOps or Spring Boot anywhere? In the entire class, look at the code. Anywhere have you seen DevOps, Spring Boot? But tell me one thing, don't you think actual implementation is needed? To invoke this method, actual Spring Boot object and DevOps object is needed. Only then I can invoke. Right now it is just interface type reference. I will create one setter here. Public, I will say here, public set course, and I'll go back here and say I course type course, one reference variable, and within this I'll say this dot course equals to course. One setter method, return type is void, nothing else. Great. To invoke the method present inside the DevOps class, to invoke the method present inside the Spring Boot class, I am in need of that object. That object I have not created here. The object creation part, I will give the entire control of object creation, inversion of control. Entire part of object creation I will hand over to main method. I'll go to the main method now. I will first create the object of telescope. I will say here telescope type t equals to new telescope. Great. After which I will say t dot by the course. I'll pass some amount. Maybe I'll say here 5999.9.8, whatever you want you can pass. And it is giving me Boolean data. I will collect it inside a Boolean variable. I will say Boolean type of status. And now I will say if the status is true, I will say maybe system.out.println one message, course purchased successfully. Else I will say here else system.out.println, I will say here failed to get the course. Fine. My dear friends, in whichever class the methods of other classes are getting used, we call that class as target class. Now, inside the Telescope class, are you not using the method which is present inside the other classes? Don't you think this method body is present inside DevOps class and Spring Boot class? The body of this method is present inside DevOps class and Spring Boot class. That means Telescope class is using such a method whose body is present inside some other class. That means Telescope class is using some other classes services, some other classes methods. In that regard, with that regard, Telescope class is a target class. We have a target object. We have one more term called as dependent object. Such a object whose services are getting used. Now tell me guys, inside this, don't you think get the course method services are getting used inside this class? Now get the course method is present inside which objects? Get the course method is present inside which objects? I want your answer in the chat. This particular method is present inside which object? Spring Boot and DevOps object. Correct, all of you? Everyone present in the class? So, guys, I will ask no question one more time. Inside Telescope class, inside Telescope object, are you invoking methods of Spring Boot class and DevOps class? Is Telescope class using the services, the code which is written inside Spring Boot class and DevOps class? Answer is yes. Inside this Telescope class, are you calling this method? If you are calling this method, that means you are using the body of this method inside the Telescope. Then Telescope class is called as target class. Point number 1. Clear? It is a target object. Matter close. Point number 2. It is using which class services? Which object services? These methods are present inside which object? These methods are present inside which object? This method is a part of DevOps. This method is a part of DevOps class. This method is a part of Spring Boot class. So Telescope is using this method which is a part of DevOps and Spring Boot class. So in that regard, DevOps and Spring Boot classes or objects can be called as dependent objects. Whosoever methods are getting used in some other classes, they are called as dependent object. Method which is present inside the DevOps class, method present inside the Spring Boot class, is it getting used inside the Telescope class? Are you invoking that method here? If you are invoking that method here, that means this method is getting used inside this class. So in that case, DevOps class and the Spring Boot class, they are called as dependent class, dependent object. In whichever class it is getting used, that is called as target object. Have you understood the difference of target and dependent object? Target object means such a class where other services are getting used. In Telescope class, I am using the methods of DevOps class. I am invoking the methods of Spring Boot class. I am a target class. Whose methods are getting used inside this target class? Whichever method you are invoking, no. That methods are coming from which object? DevOps and Spring Boot. Then DevOps and Spring Boot are called as dependent object. Now, injecting dependent object in the target object, injecting dependent object into the target object is called as dependency injection. What we call that as dependency injection. So I will say here t dot set and I will inject the object of new Spring Boot. New Spring Boot. That means I am injecting this object into my target class through the setter. It is called as setter injection. Guys, Telescope class is there, correct? I am calling this method set and I am passing Spring Boot object. So I will open the Telescope class. We have a setter here. What is coming and sitting inside this variable, guys? Please answer me. Is it not same as this? Is it not same as this? See here, I'm invoking the setter and I'm passing Spring Boot object. So inside this Telescope, through the setter, what am I receiving here? Spring Boot object is receiving. So now tell me guys, inside this course, address of which object is present right now? Address of which object is present? Spring Boot object. If I say course dot get the course method of which object is getting created, which object is getting invoked? Course dot get the course. If I say course has address of which object? Spring Boot. I will repeat, okay, but I want your answers, all of you. Okay, guys, you know Java fundamentals, right? It's not like you don't even know what is method, what is inheritance. You are coming and trying to understand something. It should not be the case. I will repeat once again. Remember, this method is present inside Telescope class. First point, yes or no? Continuously I want answer. Thiru, Malesh, Banda and others. Those who are asking, they have to answer me. If not, I will stop this. Agree. Inside this method, I'm invoking one more method, get the course. That means whatever body is present inside this class, I'm using it here. That means Telescope class, is it using services present inside one more class? Body present inside one more class? Yes or no? Yes. Then Telescope class is called as target class, target object. Clear? Now, Telescope is invoking one method. This method, whose class method it is? Whose class service it is? Whose class service it is? Thiru, Malesh, you had asked me this question. Others are responding. I want Thiru, Malesh to respond. This method is coming from where? Thiru, Malesh, are you there in the class? Or you maybe for time pass you have asked some question? DevOps class and Spring Boot class. This method is present inside the DevOps class. This method is present inside the Spring Boot class. That means Telescope is using the method which is present inside DevOps class and Spring Boot class. So now Telescope class is a target class, target object, where services of other classes are getting used. And whichever class service is getting used, that is called as dependent object. Who is using service? Telescope is using the service of this method. Okay. Which class method? Spring Boot class method. That is called as dependent object. Injecting this dependent object into the target class is only called as dependency injection. Injecting this dependent object into my target class is only called as dependency injection. And that dependency injection I am performing using the setter. So it is called as setter injection. See here, this is a setter method. Through the setter I am injecting. Now tell me, I am invoking the tset course. I am invoking this method. Okay. By invoking this method, I am passing some data here. What data I am passing? I am passing the Spring Boot object. If I am passing the Spring Boot object, what is coming and sitting here? Inside this course variable, which object is coming and sitting, Thiru, Malesh? Which object I am passing from here? Which object? Spring Boot object. Are you there in the class? Now, inside this variable, which object is present? Spring Boot. Is it equivalent to this? So inside this variable, address of Spring Boot object is there. If I say course dot get the course method of which object is getting invoked? Get the course method of Spring Boot object is getting invoked. Correct? Why DevOps, Thiru, Malesh? Why DevOps? Tell me, inside this address of Spring Boot is there? You told yes, sir. Now I'm telling course dot get the course. So course has address of which object, Thiru, Malesh? Course has address of which object? Others, all of them are responding. Then if I say course dot get the course, so get the course method of which object is getting created? Which object is getting invoked? Spring Boot or DevOps? It is Spring Boot. If you say DevOps, great. But I am not even using the concept of Spring here. Spring is not yet used. Okay, great. So now guys, I'll go to my main method. I will execute this. If I have to run this method, I'm getting this message, guys. See here, Spring Boot course is purchased. course purchased successfully? Answer me one thing. Anywhere in the entire Telescope class, am I using the name of Spring Boot class? Am I using the name of Spring Boot class? Anywhere in the entire Telescope class? Still, am I able to invoke the method which is there inside the Spring Boot class? This is called as tight coupling or loose coupling. What is your answer? It is none other than loose coupling. Now, Telescope class and Spring Boot class, DevOps class, are they tightly coupled or are they loosely coupled? They are loose coupling. Are you also using the real-time use of polymorphism, guys? Real-time use of polymorphism. Now this time, dynamically it will change. This time I will pass the object of DevOps. I'll pass the object of DevOps. I'll pass it. I will run this application. Please see here. If I have to run this application, DevOps course is purchased. See here. I'm invoking only one. At the runtime, is it changing, guys, the behavior? Sometimes DevOps class, sometimes Spring Boot class. The real use of polymorphism, real use of interfaces, real use of what is the meaning of loose coupling. Now, whatever object I needed to see, actually I am the one who is using the body. So I need the object of Spring Boot class. I need the object of DevOps class so that I can invoke this. But in my Telescope class, am I creating the object of Spring Boot or DevOps? Am I creating the object of Spring Boot or DevOps anywhere in the entire class? The answer is no. That means entire control of object creation I am handing over to main method class. In the main method, at least you are creating the object of Telescope, object of DevOps. Now tell me, main method class and Telescope class, are they loosely coupled or tightly coupled? Are they loosely coupled or tightly coupled? I want the entire application to be loosely coupled. I now want to create the object of Telescope also. I now want to create the object of DevOps also. I now want to perform dependency injection also. That's where one of the most popular and one of the best framework for Java developer, Spring, comes into picture. Spring framework will enable the decoupling. Spring framework will create the object of target class also, dependent object also, will perform setter injection also. Everything will be taken care by Spring framework. You just have to focus on the business logic of an application. Whatever code is required, Spring will take care of it. All good, everyone? I will not be creating any object, no new keyword, nothing. Who will create the object? Spring. Spring will create the Telescope object. Spring will create the DevOps object. Spring will create the Spring Boot object. Spring framework will perform the dependency injection. Everything is Spring. My focus should be on the business logic of an application, not the other headache part. So if you use Spring framework, will your application will be loosely coupled or tightly coupled? Application will become lightweight and loosely coupled. That's the real use of Spring framework in the industry. And in this process, I could able to explain what is the real use of polymorphism, why we have to create parent type reference, what do you mean by association? It is association here. Spring Boot and DevOps are associated with Telescope class. Loose coupling, real use of polymorphism, dependency injection, all of them are referred to same. If any ambiguity, any confusion, I suggest you to rewatch the video from the scratch. I have trained n number of Spring Boot batches. Spring framework I have trained for freshers, experienced professionals, corporate trainers, architects, and many. What I have personally seen is Spring framework is easy to learn because it is not a new programming language. It is a framework based on Java. To make Java application development easy, we have that framework. If people are facing issue in the Spring framework, most of the reason would be your Java is not clear. Class, object, methods, method overloading, encapsulation, constructor, inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction, interfaces. If you have understood these concepts, only then Spring framework will make it sense to you. If not, no. Now I could able to show you only with Java code that what problem Spring framework is trying to solve. It is just fundamental, and those who could able to understand this solution shows that you have understood Java very well. Now you are eligible to understand the Spring framework also without any problem. Fine. And in the tomorrow's class, the discussion will starting part will be with the lambda expression, exception handling quickly, collection, stream API, and annotation. We shall conclude this fast track batch. So today we could able to understand the OOPS concepts, guys, majorly. Okay. So it should not be a problem. So one question someone was asking about with respect to some polymorphism code which I have written. Okay. I want to him to explain, it seems. I could quickly able to explain that, and we shall end this session. On the JVM runtime data areas, two major areas are there. Number one happens to be runtime stack area. Number two happens to be runtime heap area. Example, we have a main method where the journey is starting. So first thing what happens is, to execute the main method on your stack area, main method stack frame gets created. So whatever main method code is there, everything is present here. The thread will start to execute it. Very first line, you are creating the object of cargo plane. On your heap area, cargo plane object will be created. Address will be given. I'll assume the address is 123. Right side part is over. Left hand side part, you are creating one reference by the name plane1, which has address of this object. Plane1 will refer to this. Again, you are creating one more object, fighter plane. Address is 345. You're creating the reference for that is plane2. Address will have here 345. In other words, this is referring to this object. Later, by calling the method of airport object also will be created. You're calling the permit method. Fine. You're calling the permit method stack frame also will be created here. And you're passing the reference of plane. Cargo plane reference you are passing, which is received by aeroplane type reference. So now aeroplane will have address of whatever is there inside this plane. So whatever variable is there inside the aeroplane, that will start referring to this object. So whatever methods we have inside the cargo plane, using that plane type reference also you can invoke all the methods of cargo plane. All the methods, because that has the address of cargo plane. Later you pass the reference of fighter plane. So inside this variable, now cargo plane is not there. Address of fighter plane is there. So it will start referring to the object of fighter plane. If you say plane dot takeoff method, the fighter plane takeoff method and fighter plane fly method will be invoked, because that is what you're doing there. Okay, you can just refer to the application again. You'll be in a position to understand. Fine, guys. Which is the best, and why using getter, setter annotation, or method of it, or both is same? It's setter. Setter is also a method, Sushant. I could not able to share the screen, it seems. This is the explanation I've gave. If not, I'll give you one more simple explanation. If you don't want to understand with respect to heap and stack, very simple. We had one object, we had one class called as aeroplane class. Aeroplane class, correct? And you had created the reference aeroplane. Only reference, no object. You had created the reference called as plane. Then there are two classes which you have created. One is cargo plane. One is fighter plane. For fighter plane, the object you have created is plane2 reference variable, and for cargo plane the reference variable was plane1. That means plane1 has address of cargo plane, plane2 has address of fighter plane. Later what did you say? You call the method and whatever address was there in the plane 1 you gave. That means this had the address of plane 1. In other words, this reference variable started to refer to this object. And when you say plane dot takeoff, plane dot landing, takeoff method and land method of cargo plane was invoked. Later, you have again called the permit method and passed the address of fighter plane. Okay, so now plane has address of fighter plane, not the cargo plane. To a variable, whenever you add new value, old value is gone. So now it has the address of fighter plane. So this reference variable will start referring to this object. When you said inside the permit method plane dot takeoff, plane dot landing, it started to invoke the landing and takeoff method and fly method of fighter plane, not the cargo plane. Same thing we have explained here with respect to heap and stack. It is very simple if you know the fundamentals. If not about the heap and stack area, videos are available in the Telesco YouTube channel. You can also watch that. Okay. That's all for when inherit methods. What happens is then there is no point of no advantage of polymorphism. If you have only inherited method, not the overridden method, the benefit of polymorphism will not be there. That's it. Okay. Yes, Siddharth. Method calls on the stack area, object creation on the heap area. No, constructor injection is not best compared to setter injection, Sandhya. Setter is best compared to constructor and setter. Constructor injection means the dependent object must be ready at the time of object creation of target class. What if the dependent object is not ready? Can you create the object of target class? No. Okay. So that's all for today, guys. Thank you for being with us. We shall meet again tomorrow morning. I will give you the agenda for tomorrow so that you can plan accordingly. We will start the discussion with functional interface and lambda expression. Lambda expression is the first part of the discussion tomorrow. Second part of the discussion will be on exception handling. Exception handling, tomorrow we shall discuss this. The third, we shall start collection topic. Then quickly we shall see the stream API. And then we shall conclude the discussion with the topic of annotations. So these topics will be covered in tomorrow's class. Tomorrow's session is starting from 10 a.m. IST to, again my screen is not visible, my bad. Thank you for reminding me, to 4 p.m. IST. 4 p.m. IST. And it is live on the Telesco channel also. However, if you want the recordings of this class, code files, board work, then you have to visit the Telesco website. A course is available in your course dashboard with 1 month of access and 28 days of access. You can download, you can rewatch the videos any number of time without any problem. All the sessions also, recordings also will be there. Code files also will be there, whatever we have coded. And you can just go and register in courses.telesco. And quickly, I would like to just make one small announcement that from next weekend onwards, we are starting one fast track spring framework batch, 8 days, totally 4 weekends. Within 1 month, you can master the spring framework. 8 days for full day, morning 10 a.m. to evening 5 p.m. for 8 continuous days, where we will cover all the topics of spring framework live. So inside that course, we will cover spring core, entire spring core, very detailed, XML approach, annotation approach, spring boot approach. Then using the spring boot approach, we will get into spring data JDBC. Then we shall discuss one more module, spring data JPA live. All this discussion will happen live, JPA. Then we shall start with the spring web MVC. Then we shall start with the concept of RESTful services. Then we shall discuss the concept of AOP, spring security. These are the major topics. Associated topics alongside this will be Redis server plus Spring Boot application, Kafka server plus Spring Boot application, Spring Boot profiles, concept of HATIOS, concept of batch processing, okay, concept of actuators, and so scopes, so and so will be covered. All of this will be covered in a live interactive way. Apart from this, Java, Docker, microservices, cloud deployment, JDBC, Hibernate, servlets, JUnit, and SQL will be given in the form of recorded. But these topics will be covered live. Okay. Is there if there is a reference created of for the parent with the child, and memory is pointed to the child in the heap memory, how does inherited method in the parent class? See, it will not, for methods memory will not be there on the heap area inside the object. For methods memory will be there on the stack area. For every method call, memory will be present on the runtime stack area, Arul. Okay. 3 months course also available, right? 3 months course we started recently. We have covered almost 3-4 weeks of classes. That course will go for 2 more months. Those whatever classes we have covered, that recordings is available, but that will go in a slow pace. Every morning 1 hour class, 1.5 hour class, 7 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. 8:30 a.m. But whatever course I was talking, it is a fast track course. This will happen for only 1 month, for total of 4 weekends, 8 classes, full day, and we'll have our course recordings, dashboard access, and other benefits also. Visit the website and you have some discounts also. Okay. So before we conclude, let me just take a quick small break and then we shall start for the conclusion part. All right, guys. So that was about today's class. Let me open the ID, and these are the topics which we'll cover live. And these topics, all of this will be uploaded in your course dashboard. One thing I realized today is I think I should work on how to write good on the boards. I'm an engineer. I should act like an engineer. I should not act like a doctor in writing down this. So maybe in tomorrow's class, I'll try my best to not, write this way. I'll try to maintain my handwriting. So let's see if you could able to achieve that. So tomorrow's class, we shall discuss these many topics as I have listed. These are the topics which will be discussed in tomorrow's class. Okay. So today's class, whatever topics we have discussed starting till last, that is the prerequisite for tomorrow's class. And these two classes, if you have understood, that means the prerequisite which is required to understand the Spring framework is done. Class, object, methods, method overloading, constructor, encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction, collection, exception handling, stream API, lambdas, annotations. These are the topics as a Java developer you should be knowing it in order to understand the Spring framework. And by keeping that in mind, we have started this free course. We could able to discuss some concepts. Those who are watching with complete focus, I'm pretty sure they could able to understand. If not, you can anytime rewatch the videos. And tomorrow we shall continue with the remaining talk. Maybe I'll ask Naveen sir if he's available to talk something. All right, let me just ask him to come down. And all right, for allow me just 20 seconds of time, he might come and discuss.
Okay, everyone, I hope you enjoyed today's session. It's only first day. I mean, we have 2 days. Tomorrow also we'll do the same thing, starting from 10 a.m. IST to 4 p.m. IST. Any feedback before we end today's date or today's session? Okay, from where you will get the code and the notes, basically you have to enroll in the course, which is a free one, Java Fast Track. If you can go to the Risco Courses page, you will find, in fact, you will find the link in description. Go there, check out the free course and enroll for free, and you will get the code and the notes of this session. And tomorrow also, you will get the mail. If you're not receiving the mail, that's fine. You can simply go to a dashboard and you can join the class. Oh, great. It was helpful. Good to know that. Okay, cool then. See you everyone tomorrow. Same time. Hope you will join. Okay, bye-bye. And tomorrow we might not be going to YouTube. Join from Zoom. In case if we cross the limit, then we'll go live. Otherwise, it's Zoom. Okay, so bye-bye.